going to be doing a 3-round 2026 NFL mock draft, kind of taking into account a lot of the changes that we got from the Senior Bowl. I'm really excited for this one, but before we get into it, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me out a ton. It lets me know you guys are enjoying the videos. Comment down below who are some players that you guys are targeting for your favorite teams. And just a quick disclaimer, we're not going to be doing trades in this mock draft. I will do trades on 1-round mock drafts, but for 3-rounders, I usually like to keep it kind of with the same order. So take that as you will, but we are going to start here with the Las Vegas Raiders with the number 1 overall pick, and it's going to be Fernando Mendoza. I don't really think we need to go into too much depth with this pick. This is a 1-quarterback class. Mendoza is pretty clearly the best quarterback in the class. So I think that's going to be the pick. I'm not even going to spend too much time on it. The Heisman, the national championship, undefeated season, incredibly accurate, tough. There's just a lot to like about Mendoza. The accuracy is phenomenal. The ball placement is great. Vegas, I think, gets their franchise guy at number 1. At number 2 for the Jets, this is kind of where things get a little bit tough. They've got 2 firsts, 2 seconds in this draft. I don't really love the quarterback class here, so I'm not taking a quarterback, at least at 2. Maybe at 16 you consider Ty Simpson, but I'll go with the best player on my board, and that is Ruben Bain Jr. I think Bain is one of the most versatile and one of the most explosive players in this class. He's powerful. He's got heavy hands. He sets a strong edge in the run game. And I love what he can do as a one-on-one pass rusher. Yes, he's got shorter arms for the position. That's not something I'm ultimately worried about. I think that he can be an impactful run defender. You can kick him inside on passing downs. I think there's so many ways that you can utilize Ruben Bain. I'm going to take him at number 2. At number 3 for the Arizona Cardinals, offensive line is the popular pick here. I think offensive line is where I'd like to go. I'm still probably going to go with Sonny Styles. I have Styles as my number 3 player on my board, I believe. Let me verify and pull up my big board. I believe Sonny Styles is my number 3 player. He's my number 2 player, actually. So if you want to go BPA, I think Sonny Styles is the right pick. I think it's also a team need. However, I know Cardinals fans don't like when I go linebacker for them, so I will do you guys a favor here, and I will take the offensive lineman in Francis Mauigoa. I wouldn't make this pick here at number 3, but I think as we get closer to the draft, there's going to be a lot more buzz that Mauigoa is going to go in the top 6, whether that be at 3, whether that be at 4, 5, or 6. I think any of those teams are probably going to take him. In an offensive line class that I don't think is great, I think Mauigoa brings really good versatility. You can play him at tackle. You can play him at guard. The Cardinals have a big need at right tackle. I think it's a good linebacker group. I will wait. I will take Mauigoa at pick 3. At pick 4 here for the Titans, I'm going to take David Bailey. This would have been a receiver, and it has been for a while, but the receiving core looked better down the stretch for this team, and after hiring Robert Saleh, I fully expect that this is a team that is going to heavily prioritize building that defense out. They need a number 1 edge rusher badly. They don't have a guy outside of Jeffrey Simmons that I think can consistently get after the quarterback. I think David Bailey is that player. I will take him at number 4. At number 5 for the Giants, you've got all 3 receivers left on the board. You've got Spencer Fano, who I still really like Spencer Fano. I think we might take him inside the top 10 in today's video, but for what the Giants need, tough spot here. I will probably take Jordan Tyson, still my number 1 receiver despite some of the tissue injuries that he has had, but I love the guy. I think he's the best route runner in the class. I think he's got great hands. He's physical, can separate to all 3 levels of the field, and he's a really good complement to what you have in Malik Neighbors. So I'm going to continue to upgrade this receiver room, get Jackson Dart some more help. I'll take Jordan Tyson at number 5. And then at number 6, I think it makes the pick pretty easy here. I'm going to be taking, I'm going to take Carnell Tate here for the Browns. This is another team that really needs a receiver. I don't think they're going to go quarterback after Todd Monken gets hired. It seems like Monken really likes Shedeur. I think they're going to give it a try for a year. I wouldn't personally do that. But if you do decide to do that, you're going to need to get offensive line help and you're going to need to get receiver help. You keep Carnell Tate in Ohio, a guy that has really good vertical speed. I think that he's probably more of a number 2 in my eyes, but coming off a ridiculous season for the Buckeyes, I will take Carnell Tate at number 6. At number 7 here for the Washington Commanders, really all 3 Ohio State players are in play for me. Reese, Downs, Styles. I'm going to take Arvell Reese to this team. I think that for what this Washington team needs, they need pass rush, they need linebacker help. Arvell Reese kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone in my eyes. I think that you can really deploy him in a number of different ways as that pass rusher, but I think that he has so much potential to be a good coverage player. He's such a good athlete. I think pound for pound, could be the strongest player in the class. We know that Dan Quinn loves these like off-ball linebackers that can kind of rush the passer a little bit too. It worked with Micah Parsons. I'm not saying Arvell Reese is Micah Parsons, but I see some similarities there in the way I think they can be used. I'll take Arvell Reese at pick 7. At pick 8 for the Saints, I'm going to take Jeremiah Love. This is becoming a fan favorite pick for myself, and I know Saints fans love it too. Just one of the most versatile players on the offensive side of this class. I think that you can play him as that bell cow running back, and he can make an impact right away. He's got good hands in the receiving game. He's so quick. And when you look at this running back room in New Orleans, there's a lot of injuries here. Kamara's not been healthy. Kendre Miller has kind of been a bust at this point. Devin Neal, I think, is a good number 2 back. You need that number 1. I like the offensive line. I think we can get a guard down the board. I think Jeremiah Love is the player that I've got my eye on here. I'll take him at pick 8 and upgrade this running back room. At pick 9 here for the Kansas City Chiefs, man, really tough spot to be in if you're Kansas City. I don't really love, I like Mekhi Lemon. I just don't think that's the receiver that this team should go after. Offensive line is still interesting to me. Like I talked about Spencer Fano. I like Fano a lot still. I have him as my number 13 player. I would consider taking him here. But with that said, I don't know that they would go right tackle here. It just doesn't feel like a move they would make. Edge rusher, I don't think that they're going to go this route this early, especially they pick at 40 and 74, where you could get an Akis or a Zion Young or a Derek Moore or any of those guys I think could have some upside. I don't think they go linebacker, so I'll take a corner for this team. Give me Jermod McCoy. I'm going to just go with my gut here. I still think McCoy's going to be the first corner off the board because it doesn't seem like people are really as concerned about the injury as I think others are. I think that when he's been on the field, he has been one of the best receivers in the country, or the best corners in the country, excuse me. I think he's going to go high, and I think at number 9, that's a great value spot for him. He goes to a spot that prioritizes length. They prioritize instincts. I think McCoy has that. They can play him on the boundary. I'll take him at 9. At pick 10 here for the Cincinnati Bengals. Offensive line, sure. I'm not going to go that route. I will take this is another tough spot. I will probably go with Caleb Downs. Just the versatility, and I think he's one of the best safety prospects we've ever seen. The Bengals really need help in the safety room, and if Downs is on the board, I think they're going to take him. So I will make that pick at number 10. At number 11 for the Dolphins, I'm going to go with Mekhi Lemon. I know this team has other, maybe bigger needs, but I don't think people really factor in how big of a need receiver is for this team because Tyreek Hill probably won't be back next year. I don't really love the depth outside of Jalen Waddle. Malik Washington's fine, but not anything to write home about in my opinion. They need some more help in this receiver room. I know they also hired a defensive-minded coach, so they could easily go with a corner. Again, I kind of like the corner value on day 2. I'm going to take Lemon. I think that's a big upgrade over what they have at wide receiver 2 going into next year. At number 12, I'm sprinting the card in and taking Sonny Styles. The Cowboys have needed some linebacker help for a while, it seems. And Styles, I think right away can be an impactful player for you. He's great in coverage. He can play downhill. He's a great run defender, tackles well. So many things that I really love about Sonny Styles' game that I think Dallas really, really needs to address. So I will take Sonny Styles at pick 12. At pick 13, we saw the secondary get absolutely lit up against Seattle. I will take Mansour Delane. This team needs some secondary help. They need a number one corner. They tried to go get it with Roger McCreary, just didn't end up working out. I think this team really is going to need to prioritize investing into this cornerback room pretty heavily, and I think Mansour Delane is a really good fit. So I will take him at number 13. So on the clock here at pick 14 for the Ravens, I'm going to upgrade this guard room. This is something that Ravens fans have been asking for a while, and it is a big need for this team. I'm going to go with Vega Ioane out of Penn State. I still like Pregnon slightly more, but I think Ioane's got the potential to go really high in this class. He just has so many traits and such a powerful player, particularly in the passing game, that I think people are really going to like. So I will take him at pick 14, upgrade the interior of that offensive line, and I think that would be a great move for Baltimore. At pick 15 here for Tampa Bay, again, I think they could be in the guard market. I don't hate Pregnon here, but I think I'm going to go with an edge rusher. This team needs a guy that can consistently get after the quarterback. I still think Cassius Howell is going to go pretty high. I have Howell as number 23 on my board. I get it. Shorter arms, doesn't have the best measurements in the world, but a guy that just knows how to get after the quarterback, knows how to win one-on-one with his hands. I think there's a lot to really like about him. Yeah, he's got shorter arms, but this is a Tampa team that hasn't been afraid to take chances on outlier players. So I still really like Cassius Howell. I think he would be a really good fit, and I will take him at pick 15. At pick 16 here for the Jets, we grabbed Ruben Bain earlier. I still think this team could be in play to go Peter Woods as well. I know this team really likes Peter Woods, but I'm not going to go that route. I think receiver would be fun for this team. I kind of like the receiver board on day 2 a little bit better. I'm not going to take Ty Simpson in the first round. I just don't think he is a first round talent. So I guess we could go with one of the linebackers, like CJ Allen's a fun one. I'm not really in love with this board for the Jets. I think I will take KC Concepcion. I like the athleticism. I think he's going to go pretty high because he's going to test well. He's so dynamic with the football in his hands. I think this is a guy that you could just get the ball to in space. He's going to be able to make plays because he's athletic. He's shifty in the open field. I like him a lot. I like Concepcion here at pick 16. And then at pick 17 for the Lions, I like corner here for them. I'm going to go with Colton Hood, a player that is growing on me a little bit. I thought he had an up and down week in Mobile, but this is a Detroit team that I think needs to continue to prioritize that secondary. Terrion Arnold's been very hit or miss. Ennis Rakestraw, I still don't think has played. This team has just been decimated by injuries. They have to be better at defending through the air. Their run defense and their defensive line, I think, is good. I like the edge talent down the board. I think you have to go with a guy like Colton Hood early. I will take him here at pick 17. At pick 18 for Minnesota, again, I'm going to go with the defensive back here for this team. Avion Terrell is a fun one. I love his fit for this defense. However, I also really like the idea of going safety for them. McNeil Warren, Dylan Thieneman, I both think could fit really, really well on this team. They pick again at 49. I don't know that any of the safeties will be on the board, and I think it's a better corner class in day 2 than it is safety. So I will take Emmanuel McNeil Warren here for this team, a player that I have a first to a second round grade on. I think that he would make a lot of sense for this team that they lost Cam Bynum last year. They're going to lose Harrison Smith. They need a long-term replacement in the safety room. McNeil Warren's got really good range. He's physical. He's powerful. He's got a good punch. There's a lot I really like about what Emmanuel McNeil Warren brings to the table. I will take him at 18 in Minnesota. So here, pick 19 for the Panthers. I think they could look receiver, but I think the interior of their defensive line is really interesting to me. I like the idea of going to get some more size, get a true like nose tackle next to Derek Brown. And this is a great nose tackle class. You've got guys like Kaden McDonald, I think Lee Hunter, Corleone, Dominique Orange. I'm going to go with Lee Hunter here for Carolina because I think this team, they are going to want to get a guy that he's the best run defender in this class, I think. But the lateral movement skills, I think that he does bring a little bit more as a pass rusher than some of these other guys do, at least potential-wise. So I'm going to take Lee Hunter pretty high here, get a nose tackle next to who they already have. I'll take Lee Hunter at 19. So here, pick 20 for the Cowboys. They don't have another pick in this draft in the first 3 rounds at least. We took Sonny Styles for them earlier in the draft. I think they're going to go back to the defensive well, and I think corner is a huge need for this team. I'm going to go with Davion Terrell out of Clemson. I think that he is one of the most versatile players. I think he could play on the slot, could play on the boundary, but he is feisty. He's such a fun downhill player. I think he is really good at forcing out fumbles. He's quick around the ball. Like, there's a lot that I think you can really build off of with a guy like Davion Terrell. And I'm going to bet on him here at number 20. I like his upside. I will take him to Dallas. At 21, I think this is a steal for Pittsburgh, getting Spencer Fano, who's the number 2 tackle. They're tackle-needy teams here. I think Detroit could go tackle. Maybe you could see the Rams, but for the Steelers, they could get a guy that can be a starting tackle or guard for you. One of the best athletes in the class. Just so much raw potential there for him. I wouldn't be shocked if he's a top 10 pick when it's all said and done. Still really love Spencer Fano, and this is a great value at 21. At 22 here for the Chargers, they've got a pick at 55. Bear with me, Chargers fans. I'm going to go defensive interior. I'll go Caleb Banks to them at 22. They need just better penetrators, gap shooters. Caleb Banks, up and down week at the Senior Bowl, but a guy that I think is really explosive. I think has great hands, really powerful. There are real fun things that you can build with Caleb Banks that I think this is an okay guard class. You can get some value down the board. Same thing with center. I don't really know that you're getting a lot of great defensive tackles, and for that reason, I will take Caleb Banks at 22. At pick 23 here for the Philadelphia Eagles, this is another team that I think could go guard, take Emmanuel Pregnon, tackle as well, Lomo, Freeling, Proctor, Ahinachor, Blake Miller. I think there's going to be a run on tackles here near the back end of the first round, but for Philly, I will take Kenyon Sadiq. I think this team is going to be a little bit more in the tight end market than people expect. Great blocker, really good size and speed elements, but I do think that there are things that you can do with him on the offensive side of the ball. Dallas Goedert's a free agent after this year. They've got to upgrade and continue to build out that room. I will go Sadiq at 23. At pick 24 for the Browns, we took Carnell Tate to them earlier. Now we are going to go offensive tackle. To me, the next best tackle in this class after Fano and Maui Noah is going to be Monroe Freeling out of Georgia. Really good athlete, really good size, still needs to develop a little bit as a run blocker, but what he does in pass pro is awesome. Quick feet, strong hands. I think he's a good overall athlete, has some balance issues, but a guy that's going to measure well. He fits what this team wants to do on the offensive line. They have a lot of needs. I will take Freeling. I think he could just be a plug-and-play starter for you at left tackle. At 25 here for the Bears, this is a team that needs defensive tackle help. I will go Peter Woods here at 25. I really think that the league is going to be lower on Peter Woods than I am, so that's kind of why I had him dip. But at 25, a Chicago team that needs help on the interior of their defensive line, I think you would rather take a swing on Peter Woods than you would on Kaden McDonald, because with Woods, I think you're getting more athleticism, and you are getting in my opinion, a better chance of pass rush success. There is none of that on Kaden McDonald's tape that really excites me. With Peter Woods, you can see the upside there. I'm going to take him at 25 to Chicago. At pick 26 here for Buffalo, probably going to go with an edge rusher here for them. They need more consistency at pass rusher. For that reason, I will take Akeem Mesidor. I think Mesidor is the best pass rusher on the board. With Falk and Parker, you're getting good run defense, but I don't think you are getting elite pass rushing potential. I will take Mesidor, who is incredibly productive, a guy that I think can play up and down your line of scrimmage. Makes a lot of sense for Buffalo at 26. At pick 27 here for the San Francisco 49ers, I think offensive line long-term needs to be heavily addressed. Caleb Lomu is going to be the move. I think you can play him at right tackle for you. Very similar eval to that of Monroe Freeling. 6'6", 304, really good pass protector, strong hands, redirects well. He's just a little light and needs to be better in the run game, but Lomu, I think, could be a franchise left tackle for you. And with his athleticism, I definitely think there is a world where we're looking at him as a potential franchise left tackle, especially for Shanahan's scheme. So I will take Lomu at 27. At pick 28 here for the Houston Texans, offensive line, I think, needs to be addressed. I don't hate Caden McDonald here for this team at 28, but I would much rather take Emmanuel Pregnon. That's going to be my pick. I think this team just needs help on the interior. Their guard spots were a disaster all year long. Pregnon, I think, he's a better run blocker than Vega Ioane. I think he's just as good as pass blocker. I think he's a little bit older. He might not be as big, so he could slip down the board a little bit. But if I am looking for a franchise guard, I think Pregnon could be that player. So I will take him at 28. At pick 29 for the Los Angeles Rams, we took Mansour Delane earlier. I still think tackle is a need for this team. I would consider Max Ahinachor here, Blake Miller here. Both I think could be in play, but I think Ty Simpson likely goes in round 1. I think for the Rams, this is the ideal landing spot. You get that fifth-year option. You get a couple of years to really develop him into a real stud. I'll take that swing. I will take the upside swing on Ty Simpson. He'll probably sit for a year or two, but I think you have to address quarterback. You're not going to have 2 first-round picks every year. Yes, it's a weaker quarterback class, but Ty Simpson is still a player that I would consider in the back end of the first round. So I'll take him to the Rams at 29. At pick 30 for the Denver Broncos, it's a pretty simple pick for me. I'm going to go with C.J. Allen. I think they need linebacker help. Alex Singleton was good for them in the playoffs. Dre Greenlaw up and down. The injury history is a little concerning. C.J. Allen, I think, is an incredible run defender, flies around, makes plays. I think there's a ton of potential there for what he can do. Has to develop a little bit as a coverage player, but I think long-term you feel really confident about what you could get in C.J. Allen. At pick 31 here for the New England Patriots, I think edge rusher as well could be in play for this team. I will take TJ Parker to them. I thought Parker had a really strong Senior Bowl. He is very physical, very powerful, and I think can set a hard edge in the run game. Similar to Harold Landry, I think a little bit of an upgrade, but this team loves to rotate in defensive linemen. I think you add TJ Parker to that rotation, the heavy-handed edge rusher that can set the edge in the run game. I think there's some potential there, so I will take TJ Parker at 31. And then to finish out this first round at pick 32, we're probably going to make the same pick we've made, it feels like 20 times at this point. But I think Brandon Cisse makes a lot of sense for this team, right? They love athletes in that secondary. We saw it with Eamon Warry. We saw it with Reek Welland, Devon Witherspoon. Cisse is incredibly athletic. He's fast. He's quick. He's got a lot of potential. I think they could go back to the South Carolina defensive back well and take Brandon Cisse at pick 32. Now we're into the second round. The Jets have 2 second-round picks. They took Casey Concepcion and Ruben Bain. I love the way that this board has fallen for them because now I think they can go get that true nose tackle. And I like Caden McDonald at pick 33. The limited pass rushing potential does worry me a little bit when it comes to Caden McDonald. But here at 33, I think that you get one of the best run stoppers in the class, can fill up those rushing lanes. What a haul for the Jets so far to get one of the best nose tackles, a really good pass rusher, and then a fun receiver. So I like Caden McDonald to this team. I'll take him at 33. At pick 34 for the Cardinals, we took offensive lineman early. I think that opened up the idea to go linebacker next. My next linebacker on the board is going to be Missouri linebacker Josiah Trotter. He will be my pick here for Arizona. Really good athlete. very similar evaluation to CJ Allen. Great athlete, really good downhill player, strong, needs to improve a little bit as a coverage defender, but I think overall you're getting a dynamic athlete that I think can impact the game in multiple ways. So I will take Josiah Trotter. Even as a blitz threat, I really like him. He'll be my pick at 34. At 35 here, we took David Bailey in the first round to the Titans. Corner is going to probably be a pick that we address at 66. I do think receiver needs to be somewhat addressed here. I think I've changed my mind. I think I'm going to go corner here and take a receiver later because with Boston's a great player, but I'm worried about the limited traits that he has. And if I look at what Tennessee needs, I don't think they need an X. I think they need a separator and like a faster receiver. I don't think you're getting that, and I'm not reaching on a guy like Zachariah Branch here at 35. So I will go corner to this team. I like Keith Abney. I think he's feisty, he's physical, he's really fluid. I think he can play on the slot, can play on the boundary. There are a lot of ways that I think you can use Abney, but I love the way this draft is looking for Tennessee. You're prioritizing the defense. I don't think the offense needs a ton of help right now. You just need development from some of these young guys, and you'll take a couple of swings later on. But I will go Keith Abney here at 35. At 36 here for the Raiders, we took Mendoza early. I think we would be absolutely ridiculous to not go with a receiver here. I mean, Denzel Boston is still on the board, and that is very enticing. Man, if I'm looking at the board here for this team, I also don't hate just taking Keldrick Falk and just getting him off the board here. But Christian Miller's on the board, which would be a really good fit for this defense. They need some interior help desperately. You also could go with one of the tackles. Iheanacho and Blake Miller are both in play here for me because they need a right tackle. Colton Miller was injured this past season. I get it. But they need to be able to address that right tackle spot. I think that is something that needs to happen. So I'm in a tough spot here. I think this team could go with multiple different players. I think for me, the player that I'm going to target if I were the Raiders, I think I'll go Christian Miller. I think Miller makes the most sense. They need interior defensive line help. It's a good receiver group. They can get talent later, but the interior of their defensive line's been god-awful, and I think Christian Miller would make a lot of sense for them at 36. At 37 here for the New York Giants, we took, in the first round, who do we take? I believe we took Jordan Tyson to this team. Probably going to go onto the offensive line, I think, is probably the position that needs to be addressed here. And right tackle, there are two really good right tackles on the board here for this team in Max Iheanacho and Blake Miller. Who do I like better? I like Iheanacho a little bit more. So I will take Iheanacho a little bit bigger. I think he's a little bit more athletic too. So you're going to see back-to-back Arizona State defenders go to the Giants, or offensive players, but they need a right tackle. I think with his length, there's a lot of developmental upside in a guy like Max Iheanacho. So I will take him at pick 37. At pick 38 for the Texans, running back could be in play here for them without a doubt. I think Jadarian Price is a player that people really, really like, and I think he probably could go in the top 50. They drafted Woody Marks, who I think is a great receiver, but I just don't think he is a number one back. I think Christian Miller easily would have been the pick here. I just find it hard to believe that they would go with any of these guys. Like, I love Caleb Proctor. I'm glad he's finally in the simulator. But yeah, I think I'll take Jadarian Price here. I think I will go with Jadarian Price. Get some running back help for this team. Incredibly athletic. You can use him in special teams as well. I'll take him at 38. At 39, I have to take Keldrick Falk off the board. This is a guy that I still really like, and there's no way he's going to fall this far. I just have a hard time really finding teams that are going to take Keldrick Falk with limited pass rush production. Like, as good of an athlete as he is, in theory, we just haven't seen it all come together for him. I'll take him at 39, though. I mean, the Browns get one of the best tackles, one of the best receivers, and one of the best edge rushers in this class, and you pair him alongside Myles Garrett. I think that's a really good fit. At 40 for the Chiefs, have to take Denzel Boston. I mean, they need an X, like a chain-moving receiver. if they were picking a little bit later, I think Boston would have been in play for them in the first round, but they get him at 40. I think he complements the receiver room well. He's physical. He's strong at the catch point, doesn't drop the football. And I think he's a better athlete than he gets credit for as well. At pick 41 here for the Cincinnati Bengals, we took Caleb Downs to them earlier. Defensive interior, I think I'm going to probably wait till the third round on. I just think it's a little early for any of these guys on the board. They could go offensive line. Connor Lew, Chase Basantis, I think could be a fun piece. I will go... Jennings Dunker had a decent week down in Mobile. I could see him getting some love as a potential guard convert. But I am going to go Connor Lew, actually. I like Lew still in this top 50. I know he had the ACL tear, but this is a top 20 talent in this class when he's on the field and healthy. I think somebody's going to take him pretty high, and even if he sits for a year, I think that the Bengals can kind of afford that. So I'll take him at 41. At 42, we took Jeremiah Love at 8. Now I think we probably go on the offensive line and take one of these guards. Edge rusher is interesting. R. Mason Thomas, Gabe Akis, Zion Young. I would maybe go with one of these guys, but I don't love it for this team. I think I'm going to go, we could go receiver as well. I'm going to go Caden Proctor here. I am. Either he's playing right tackle for me, and I'm moving Fuaga to guard, or he's playing guard for me. That's kind of my thought process. I'm lower on Proctor as a tackle. At guard, I think there's some potential there. And I think the Saints, a team that needs some guard help, take a swing. Take a swing on a really, really big athlete. I will take him at 42. At pick 43 for the Miami Dolphins, we took Mekhi Lemon earlier. I think corner needs to be at the top of this team's list of positions that they need to be targeting right now. A lot of good corners in this class. I think Charles Deming's going to go pretty high. I think Devin Moore could go pretty high. But for Miami, they need any secondary help they can get. I'll take Chris Johnson because I think he probably gives you the best chance to survive on the boundary. Scott and Pons, I think, are more nickel guys. Same with Chandler Rivers. I like Johnson here to Miami at 43. At 44 for the Jets, they've gone Bain, Concepcion, McDonald. I would have gone corner to them. I don't really think nickel is a position that, they could go with, but I'm going to go with the safety to this team, and I'll take Dylan Thieneman at 44. Just one of the best safeties. Great range, good run defender, versatile, can play some single high for you. I'm a big fan of Dylan Thieneman. I think he can really make a play for you as a good starting safety. At 45 here for the Baltimore Ravens, we took Vega Ioane earlier. I'm going to go with the receiver to this team here in the second. I will be the team to take a chance on Chris Bell. Another guy coming off an injury, but when this dude was on the field, he was incredibly impactful for Louisville. Really good after the catch. The build-up speed is phenomenal. There are ways that you can get this guy the ball, and I think he can be a really good piece for your team. He's just got to get back healthy, but if he was healthy, I think would be a first-round lock. I'll take Chris Bell at 45. At 46, we took Cassius Howell earlier. I'll go Anthony Hill here at 46. They need linebacker help. Servassier Dennis was very up and down. And I also think this is a team that is going to be trying to get a long-term Levante David replacement. Anthony Hill, really good athlete, great range. I'll take him at 46. At pick 47 for my Indianapolis Colts, their first pick of the draft, I think they're going to go with an edge rusher, honestly, with their first pick. See, here's the hard thing. They took JT Tuimoloau last year, and he just didn't play for them. Safety is interesting, but I like Nick Cross. I like Cam Bynum in that room. I don't really think they're going to go anywhere offensively. Linebacker would be the position that is the biggest need, but I think I would rather take a linebacker in the third round where I could get a guy like, Aiden Fisher, Kyle Lewis. I think that's probably the better range for those guys, I would think. But then again, I also don't hate Jacob Rodriguez in this spot. Defensive interior, I just don't love the board. honestly. I don't like any of these guys for what the Colts need. Safety, I like Halsey, I like Ramsey, but I just don't think that's where the Colts are going to go either. I'm going to go with an edge rusher. I think it's a big need for this team. They got to get another guy opposite of Latu. I know they took Tui Molowalu last year. I just don't see that working. I didn't have a top 100 grade on Tui Molowalu. The player that I think the Colts would gravitate most towards here is probably Derek Moore. The player that I like most here is, well, I have Thomas as the highest, and then I have Malachi Lawrence after that, but I don't think they would take Malachi Lawrence or Thomas here. I'll go Zion Young. Long arms, physical, great in the run game, very much a Ballard type of guy. But the pass rushing upside that I thought he showed at the Senior Bowl this week really intrigued me, and I'm willing to bet on that guy pretty early in this draft, more so than I was before. So I will take Zion Young at pick 47. At pick 48, I think receiver is going to be the pick here for Atlanta. They need another option that can be consistent for this team. I think boundary corner you could look at as well. Jeremy Bernard is the top guy on the board. In my receiver rankings, I have Surratt and Brazel a little bit higher. For them, I'm going to take Chris Brazel. Really fun athlete, super fast. Tennessee receivers don't have the best hit rate in the league, so I think it's going to scare a lot of people off, and I understand it. But I think he's a really good complement, can be a vertical threat to Drake London. I will take that swing at 48. At 49, we took Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Now I think we probably have to start investing more assets into the defensive line a little bit. I thought the interior was rough this past season. I don't love the value. Running back's interesting as well. Again, I don't like this running back class really at all. Jonah Coleman, Emmett Johnson, I think you can get those guys later. Interior offensive line. I will take Jake Slaughter. It's probably a little early, but I think in this class you're going to see swings on players. Slaughter is still a good caliber starting center. I just think that's kind of what this team needs. Just a good starting center because their center play has been rough. I'll take him at 49. At 50 for the Lions, this is where I will take Blake Miller off the board. Just get some more tackle help. I mean, their offensive line had a lot of issues this past season. I think Blake Miller athletically has some really fun potential. Has to improve some of his technique stuff. I don't think he's a first-round guy, but in the second round, I think you could take him. I could see him getting into this top 50 range. At 51 here for the Panthers, we took Lee Hunter early on. They pick again at 83. I'm trying to see if that changes my mind here. It does. I'm going to go with Jake Golday to this team at 51 because I love the athleticism. I think that he can play downhill. He is a really fun athlete in space, and I think this team really needs linebacker help. I don't love the value down the board, but at 6'4", 240, got good versatility. He's a good run blocker, or takes on blocks in the run game well, I should say. Needs some more refinement and coverage, but I like that pick here at 51. At 52 here for the Packers, I think this team might go edge rusher. Opposite of Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary didn't have the best season in the world. I will take Derek Moore to this team. The long arms, the speed, the power that he plays with. I think that this team might try to get some other pieces in there because outside of Micah Parsons, I don't love the talent that is coming off the edge in Green Bay. At 53 here for the Steelers, we took Spencer Fano in the first round. I think this team does go with a corner here. I will take D'Angelo Pons to this team at 53. He's smaller, but the guy knows how to win football games and make plays for your football team. He is all over the place on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that the Steelers need some help in the nickel spot. So I'll take D'Angelo Pons at 53. And then at pick 54, we took Kenyon Sadiq earlier for this team. This team does need a guard. I don't hate Chase Basantis here. I will take Jennings Dunker to this team. I think this is around the range I would consider Dunker. I think he's terrible in pass protection, but man, he is a fun run blocker. He's got some power, and I think that that's a good bet to make here if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. They need some guard help. Dunker, I think, played right tackle, was really good, but kicking him inside, I think, could really help him. So I'll take him at 54. At 55, the Chargers, we took Caleb Banks. And the reason we did that was because I felt really good about the guard class. Basantis is really, really good. He is a player that I think has to improve as a run blocker, but what he does in pass pro is really impressive. And for a Chargers team, pass pro needs to be your number one priority. I like Chase Basantis a lot. I think he's going to go in the top 64. I think the Chargers get great value here. For the Jaguars at 56, they took Caleb Bradshaw last year, who I like. I still think the safety room could continue to improve. I'll go AJ Halsey to them. Genesis Smith is my next ranked safety and will probably be the next player off the board. But Halsey, I think, fits a little bit more what this team needs. I don't see him more as a free safety. He's more of a guy that can play in quarters. Genesis Smith is more of the free safety, which I think Bradshaw is. But Halsey, he's got good size, good ball skills. He's powerful. I think he tackles pretty well. I like Halsey here at 56. And yeah, I think he could be a good piece here for Jacksonville. At 57, we took Peter Woods earlier. Now I'm going to go with another safety. I'm going to go Kamari Ramsey because I think he probably gives you a little bit more versatility, is my thought process there. Where Genesis Smith, I think, is a free safety. Like, that is going to be his role. I think Kamari Ramsey can be a little bit more than that. I think he can play in the slot and can play a little bit all over the defense. So I like that pick here at 57 to Chicago. At 58 for the Niners, we took Caleb Lomo in the first round. I think now this team needs to go with a receiver. And the type of player I like to them is Omar Cooper Jr. Get a slot receiver that's really shifty, can make plays after the catch. He's explosive with the ball in his hand. I think that's kind of what San Francisco should be looking for. So I will take Omar Cooper at 58. At 59 for Houston, we've taken Emmanuel Pregnon and Jadarian Price to this team. Again, I think interior offensive line you could continue to make plays at. I just don't love the board, and I don't think it's fallen great for that. Like Caleb Tiernan, I think could be an interesting one. I will take Caleb Tiernan. Could play right tackle for this team long-term, opposite of Ariante Ursary, but he could play guard for you, and that's what I like about Tiernan. I think he's got a weird build. He's 6'7", but he's got short arms. I think there's a lot of ways that you can kind of use him on your offense, and I like that for Houston, who needs offensive line help. I'll take him at 59. At 60, Buffalo took Akeem Mesidor earlier. Linebacker could make sense here. My next linebacker would be Jacob Rodriguez. I don't hate that actually for this team at all. But receivers got to be prioritized early. I'll go Bernard here. Not going to blow you away with his measurements or his athleticism, but he knows how to get open. He's got good hands, and I think he's pretty good after the catch. And they need any reliable weapon that they can possibly find on the offensive side of the ball. They need that. And I think Jeremy Bernard will be a really good piece for this team. At 61, we took Mansour Delane and Ty Simpson. Now I got to go offensive line for this team. Man, the offensive tackle class does fall off here. Because I don't think Brian Parker's a tackle. I don't think J.C. Davis is a tackle. I don't think Austin Barber's a tackle. And I don't like Isaiah World a ton in this spot. So I don't really like the way the board fell. The team has been pretty good at developing. I will probably go tackle again. I'm going to double dip at corner, though. Give me Keontae Scott. I like what he does in run defense. One of the best run defending corners in the class. But I do think that he can be a really important piece for this team as a coverage, as a slot guy. You now have Kobe Durant. You now have Mansour Delane, Keontae Scott. That just completely changes your secondary. I'll take him at 61. At 62 for the Broncos, another team that I think wants to get into the receiver market. The player that I'm going to go with for this team, this is so tough to take a receiver to Denver because I think Surratt is like an X, and they have a lot of those. Zachariah Branch is too similar, to a guy like Marvin Mims, and I just don't think Branch is that great of a player. So I'll probably wait on that, and I'll probably go with a tight end. Do I make that move here? I'm going to take Sam Roush. It's early. I know that this is very unlikely to happen. Roush was the best tight end at the Senior Bowl. He's got pretty reliable hands. He is not the best athlete in the world. This is not a guy that is going to run in the 4.5s and do anything like that, but he's a strong blocker. He can stretch the seam. And I think that that's good enough to get you taken. He's a top 5 tight end in the class for me. He has jumped up significantly over the last couple of weeks. I'll take him at 62. At 63, we took TJ Parker to this team earlier. I still don't hate receiver as an option here. I know that there are a lot of Patriots fans that don't like that, but this is a team that I would take Zachariah Branch to. They also could use that physical X, and I'll go Malachi Fields to this team at 63. He showed some athleticism that I think a lot of people wanted to see from him at the Senior Bowl. And we know how good of a catch radius he has, how great his hands are. There are ways that I think you can really utilize him in your offense. And you've got Diggs, you've got Kyle Williams in the slot, and now you got Malachi Fields. I think that completes that wide receiver trio. I'll take him at 63. At pick 64 here, linebacker could be a play if you want to get a linebacker opposite of Ernest Jones. I'm going to go with another offensive lineman here. I will take Brian Parker is interesting to me because I do think he could be a decent starting guard for you. Man, the Seahawks are a tough team to draft for because I think they've done such a good job filling out this roster. Like, the defense, I think, is pretty great. Like, maybe you could go with another safety. But their safety room's really good. Like, I just don't really see a lot of problems on this roster. Running back, if you want to get another guy, maybe, but I don't see them letting Kenneth Walker walk. I will go with, I think I will probably end up taking the player that I was considering, and that's Brian Parker. It's early for Parker, but I think as a guard convert, there's some potential upside. He lined up at guard this past week down at the Shrine Bowl and looked really good. Could play guard or center for you, and I think that's kind of the route that they want to go. I like this pick here at 64. At 65 here for Arizona, we took Maui Noah, we took Trotter. I like this draft. They've got Sweat, and they've got Browning, and they've got Robinson. Like, don't think they would go with an edge rusher. I don't think they'd go. I think they would probably go offense and maybe get one of these slot receivers. I will take Zachariah Branch here at 65. The league likes him more than I do because he's incredibly fast. He's incredibly dynamic. I just don't see a great route runner, and I don't think he's going to be this star. But here in Arizona, could be the number 3 receiver. He's speed, could be the Greg Dortch replacement. I don't hate that fit at all. So I'll take Zachariah Branch at 65. At 66 here for Tennessee, we've gone defense twice for them. Now we have to go with a receiver, get some help on this team. A lot of different ways that they could go. I want to go with the slot type of receiver to this team. Tyron Montgomery would be great. I think he would be a lot of fun. But I think Skylar Bell is the option. I think he is a great route runner. He's got great hands. He's been incredibly productive for UConn. He is a top 75 player in this class. You can now have Elikyle Manor. You could still have Calvin Ridley if you want to keep him. I don't really see why you would. And then you got Chimere Dike and now Skylar Bell. I think that fills out this room. I like that at 66. At 67, the Raiders, Fernando Mendoza, Christian Miller. I think now you probably take his best friend in Elijah Surratt and just keep that chemistry together. I think, to me, that's a no-brainer. Like, if Surratt's on the board in the 3rd, you sprint that card in. Not a dynamic athlete, which is why he ended up falling in this draft, but there is a lot of potential. And Surratt would be really fun for Vegas. So I'll take him at 67. At 68, I will go with an edge rusher here for them. I will take R. Mason Thomas. I struggle with R. Mason Thomas because I think the measurements are so limited. I know he's going to go higher than this. I'm not a big fan of R. Mason Thomas. I just don't really see an impactful player at the next level. But with that being said, for Philly, can just add him to the rotation of pass rushers that you have, develop him. Very similar to Jalen Hunt, but I like that value at pick 68. At pick 69, Pregnon, Price, and Tiernan. Really fun draft. I will now go with the defensive interior guy. Of these three, Orange, Corleone, and who am I missing? Orange, Corleone, and Jackson. I do like Orange the best. They just don't prioritize nose tackles on this team, which is what is a little bit frustrating. Like, I would probably take Grayson Halton here at 69. They love gap shooters. They love guys that can penetrate. Halton is kind of the perfect piece for what they want to do. And I think that he's probably in the mix. But do they pick again? They don't. Yeah, I'll take Grayson Halton. It's early. I don't think I would take Halton in the third. But for what Houston likes to do, like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are like, it's earlier than we would typically take this guy, but we need this like particular skill set. That's the type of class this is, and I think Grayson Halton would make a lot of sense here for Houston and the way that they like to build their defensive lines. At pick 70, we've taken Carnell Tate, Monroe Freeling, and Keldrick Falk, which has been a monster draft, but we have to go back to the offensive line and I would probably end up taking one of these interior guys. Let me look at some of the guards that I like here. Rutledge, Roberts, I think those guys are in play. Yeah, the Logan Jones I do like, but he's small. Demetrius Crownover I don't think is great. Like, there's some interesting options, but I don't think that Cleveland is in that spot. Maybe they double dip at receiver. I'm going to go with a nickel corner for this team and take Chandler Rivers. The nickel has not been a great spot. I love Chandler Rivers, still a top, I think, 60 player on my board. So this is really good value for the Browns, but you're getting a guy that I think can play all over the defensive side of the ball. And yeah, I like his fit here at number 70. At number 71 here for Washington, we took Arvell Reese. I probably should go defensive back to this team. Well, maybe I shouldn't, because I don't really love the defensive backs on the board. Like, I don't hate Devon Marshall. I don't hate Hezekiah Masses. Julian Neal, maybe a day 3 guy, and I'm not high on Everett. Safety-wise, oh yeah, I'll take Genesis Smith. Yeah, I'll take Genesis Smith. They need a rangy free safety. They need help on that back end of their defense, and I think Genesis Smith is worth the investment at 71. At 72 here for the Bengals, a lot of these edge rushers ended up falling, but I think Gabe Atkins is perfect for Cincinnati. He has college production, so that's a change from the type that Cincinnati typically goes for. The production's been fantastic. He's got good hands in terms of the power that he hits with. I think he would make a lot of sense for Cincinnati, so I'll take him at 72. At 73 here for the New Orleans Saints, we took Jeremiah Love, we took Caden Proctor. Receiver, you could go with Dejon Stribling, I think could be a fun piece here. Deion Burks, like there's some options, but I am going to take one of these nose tackles, and I still like Dominique Orange. Just your Nathan Shepard long-term replacement. I know they drafted the Texas defensive tackle last year, and I'm blanking on his name, Vernon Broughton. They drafted him last year. Dominique Orange is a lot different of a player. He's more of a run stopper, where Broughton was that penetrator, kind of like we talked about with Grayson Halton. I think Orange is going to go a little bit higher than people think. I'll take him at 73. At 74 here for the Chiefs, have to take an edge rusher for this team at some point. And that player I'm going to take is Malachi Lawrence. Not typically the type that the Chiefs go for, but he's such a good pass rusher. And when you look at the consistency in which Kansas City was able to get after the quarterback, there was none. They need some more consistency. Malachi Lawrence, I think the high-end flashes are top 100 pick worthy. And I think at 74, that's really good value to take a swing on one of these guys. So he'll be my pick for the Chiefs at 74. At 75 for the Dolphins, we took Mekhi Lemon, we took Chris Johnson. I like that. Probably going to go back to the secondary here at 75 and get some safety help and some good safeties on the board. I like Jalen Husky a lot. For me, the player I'm going to go with is Bud Clark. Bud Clark was fantastic down in Mobile. Just a really instinctive safety, very similar to like a Jonas Sanker from last year's class. He's long, he's got good size. I think he's pretty fluid. I think he's going to be a really good NFL player. And at 75, the Dolphins just continue to add to that secondary. So I'll take Bud Clark there. At 76, we've taken Spencer Fano and D'Angelo Pons. Now we can go with a receiver to this team. I like Dejon Stribling here at 76. I think he could be a big slot weapon for you. He blocks really, really well. He's a pretty good route runner. He is not the most explosive vertical threat, but he can make plays as a vertical receiver. Stribling, I think, is a really good complement to what they have here. Can play on the boundary, can play in the slot. I like his fit here at 76 to Pittsburgh. At 77, we've taken Cassius Howell and Anthony Hill. I will go with Max Clare here at 77 and just get a tight end for this team. Clare is more of a receiving tight end. I think that's kind of more of his type, where I think Cade Otton does a little bit more of the inline blocking. Clare I think he's a good route runner. You can utilize him in 13 personnel, 12 personnel, like a lot more teams go into that. I think Clare would be a fun fit here for Tampa. At number 78, the Colts. We took Zion Young earlier. Corner's interesting because I don't know if Ward is going to retire. I think that's possible. I will probably now take one of these defensive interior players. The next ranked guy for me is Tim Keenan. I don't think that's where I'm going to go here. I'm going to take another Ballard pick in Darrell Jackson. Long arms, really explosive. Your long-term Grover Stewart replacement. This team does not have depth on the defensive tackle spots at all. When DeForest Buckner went down, they had nobody. They need to upgrade. I know linebacker would be nice, but I would probably go with the defensive tackle here. I like the linebacker board on day 3, so I'll take Darrell Jackson at 78. At 79 for Atlanta, I need another corner. We talked about it. I need a boundary corner. To me, the best boundary corner on the board here, let me pull up my big board, that I would go with, I really like Devin Moore out of Florida. And that's ultimately where I think I will go. I think Devin Moore, with his size and athleticism, is a top 100 pick. And I think for them, you need an opposite guy of A.J. Terrell. Devin Moore gives you size, length. He gives you some good physicality and press. There are things that you can do with Devin Moore on the defensive side of the ball that really excite me. And at 79, I'm willing to take that, make that pick. At pick 80, we're going to go back to the interior defensive line well. I like Skylar Gill-Howard a lot. I think he would make a lot of sense for this team. Is there an edge rusher that they would potentially go with and move inside? Like, not really. Interesting spot. I don't know that they would go with a nose tackle, so that's why I will take Skylar Gill-Howard, who is that penetrator. He's explosive, good first step, gets underneath offensive linemen really easily. I like Skylar Gill-Howard quite a bit. And for Baltimore, this is just their type of guy that they will get good value on day 2, and he's going to end up being a long-term starter for them. At 81 for Jacksonville, probably going to go offensive line at some point to this team. Yeah, I like Cage Casey here as one of the guards. So I'll take Cage Casey at 81. Played tackle for Boise State, probably going to be a guard at the next level, and I think he gets into the top 100 because he's very sturdy, he's got a strong base. I think you can make plays with him all over. So yeah, I'll go with Cage Casey at number 81. At 82 for Minnesota, we took a safety earlier. Now I want to go get Emmett Johnson, upgrade this running back room. Aaron Jones, I don't know what his long-term outlook looks like. I don't really love a lot of what this team has in the running back room, and I think Emmett Johnson fits a pretty big need for this team. At 83 here for the Carolina Panthers, we've taken Lee Hunter and Jake Golday. Probably going to go get another receiver for this team. Interesting. I don't love the board, but I will go Ted Hurst. I think Hurst is a really good player. He's got vertical speed. He is kind of what I think Xavier Legette was they were expecting him to be. I think Ted Hurst can be that. And yet he's got vertical speed. He's physical at the catch point. Like, there are ways that he can really impact your team. And at 83, I think Hurst would be a really good option. At pick 84, we took Derek Moore to this team earlier. I'm going to go corner to this team here in the second. I will go with Hezekiah Masses. I love Masses. I think that he is a player that at 6'1", 185, like, he's not the greatest zone defender, but he's really good in press, has good ball skills. I think he's fluid, good overall athlete. At 84, I'm willing to make that pick here. I will take Hezekiah Masses at 84. At 85, I want to go with a safety here for the Steelers. Maybe they can be able to move back. They'd be able to move Jalen Ramsey back to corner. And of the safeties on the board that I like, I'm a big Jalen Husky fan. I don't think he's going to go this high. I will take Zakee Wheatley. They need, I think, some more physicality in that secondary. Wheatley is a very physical guy that I think could be that box safety. He's a good run defender as well. I like his value at pick 85, so I will take him there. At 86, I think incredible value here to get Romello Height if you are the Chargers. Just a guy that I think can make plays. That ultimately, that's what it comes down to. He's very limited, probably a designated pass rusher, but any consistency that this team can get on the defensive line, I think they would do that. And I think Romello Height's a really, really fun player. I'll take him at 86. At 87 here for the Dolphins, a lot of interesting ways it could go. We probably should take an offensive lineman to this team at some point. Bo Stevens had a really good Senior Bowl week. I was lower on him, but had a nice week. And I think he would make some sense here. So I don't think you can go wrong taking Iowa offensive lineman. And Bo Stevens, I think he's got a good base. I think he anchors pretty well. He's got good size. He's good as a run blocker. I think he would make some sense, and he would help the trenches here in Miami. So I'll take him at 87. At pick 88 for Jacksonville, we've taken A.J. Halsey. We've taken Casey. Go to the defensive interior. I will probably take Tim Keenan. I like Keenan as a nose tackle. He is just a really big, powerful player. He's got heavy hands. He's got a good bull rush. Was banged up this past season, but if you go back to his 2024 tape, there was some upside there. I'm a big fan of Tim Keenan. I'll take him at 88. At 89 for the Bears, we've taken Peter Woods and Kamari Ramsey to this team. Linebacker play, this team, I think, would make a lot of sense for. I mean, getting Jacob Rodriguez at 89, he will. It's hard doing these mock drafts because Jacob Rodriguez likely won't be on the board at 89, but that's just the way the board ended up falling. Rodriguez, one of the best players in college football this past season. He's not a great athlete, so he's probably going to slip, but you still love the upside. And at 89, I think he would be a really good fit. At pick 90, I will probably take a quarterback here in the third. And that player I'll take is Garrett Nussmeier. Had a good week down in Mobile. He's undersized. I don't think he's got a great arm. But when he's got protection and he can kind of sit back and make plays, like, this is a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great one. In the third round, very similar to the Dylan Gabriel pick. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul. I'll take Garrett Nussmeier at pick 90. At pick 91 for Buffalo, we've taken Akeem Mesidor. We've taken Jeremy Bernard. I'm going to go back to the linebacker well here. My next ranked linebacker on my board is a player that is not even listed as a linebacker. That is a safety, Kendall Daniels. Kendall Daniels is going to be my pick here. I've got a second to a third round grade on him. The size and length are phenomenal. He has the versatility because he played safety at Oklahoma State. He's good in coverage. He hits hard. He's got to be more reliable, and he's an older prospect. But I really like Kendall Daniels, man. I think he can impact the game in a lot of ways, and his size and coverage ability make him really exciting to me as an NFL linebacker. At pick 92, we've taken Caleb Lomu. We've taken Omar Cooper Jr. Let's get another edge rusher in this room for San Francisco. I'll take Joshua Joseph's explosiveness, speed, a guy that I think can be a really good one-on-one pass rush winner for you. Very similar to like a Bryce Huff, who didn't really have a great year for this team, but I like the value here at 92. I will take Joshua Joseph's. At 93 for the Rams, we've taken Delane, we've taken Simpson, we've taken Scott. We have to go offensive lineman at some point here for this team. And ultimately, the player that I will go with, I'm trying to look down the board if there's anybody I'm missing. The next tackle for me is Austin Barber. I will take Austin Barber. Maybe he plays tackle for me. Maybe he plays guard. I think he's a good athlete. I do. I like what he can do in the run game. I think that he can land blocks in space. Does need to improve his outside shoulder. So he might be a guard, but I don't think it hurts to just continue to add pieces to the offensive line. At 94 for the Broncos, we took CJ Allen. We took Sam Roush. Maybe this team would go. Now I think this team would go with a receiver. I will take Bryce Lance here. I'll go with Bryce Lance. I think he's got some vertical big play upside, but he's physical. He has good contested catch rates. He can win the 50-50 balls. Like, there's some upside here with Bryce Lance. I like what he can do. And at 94, I think you could get a really good quality receiver for your team. At pick 95 here for the New England Patriots, a team that took TJ Parker. We took Malachi Fields to them. Maybe this team could go with like one of these guys and move him to guard. I don't hate that. I also don't hate taking Logan Jones, playing him at center. And like, I don't hate that decision either. If I'm going to go with the guard here, it's hard. I don't love the guard class. Maybe JC Davis. You can kick him inside to guard, a player that I do like. 6'5", 320, had a decent week at the Senior Bowl, but just a very limited athlete in my opinion. We took a receiver and we took an edge rusher. You know what? Give me a linebacker to this team. Next to Spillane, I'll go Kyle Lewis. I think that the coverage is really, really good. You can fly around as a blitz threat. Kyle Lewis is going to go top 100 despite being undersized, and I think that New England makes a lot of sense as a fit. At 96 for the Patriots, we've taken Brandon Cisse. We took Brian Parker. I will now go linebacker again and take Aiden Fisher, who I think is just a really smart player. Instinctive, better athlete. I think he triggers better than people give him credit for. There are some things to really like about Fisher's game. And at 96, I think that makes sense for what Seattle could be looking for in a new linebacker. At 97, we've taken a running back, we've taken a center, we've taken a safety. I think corner is probably where I'll go. Just get another boundary guy. To me, I'll take Devon Marshall out of NC State. I thought he was really good, was fluid, played awesome down at the Shrine Bowl. I thought was one of the biggest risers down there. 5'10", 197. He's physical, has great ball skills. He hits hard in the open field. I think he could get into the top 100 of this draft, and I think Minnesota would be a really good landing spot. At 98, I think we go back to the cornerback well. Philly gets another boundary corner. I think that would be a lot of fun. And to me, I'm going to be the team to take a chance on Igbenogson. They don't need him to fit or like blow up right away, but his athleticism is there. He really improved his coverage consistency. The penalties came back this year. I think Igbenogson could be a really good piece. At 99, we've taken two defensive backs. We've taken Stribling. We've taken Fano. I think maybe we take a swing on like one of these quarterbacks potentially. And now I'm looking at the quarterback board, I changed my mind. I don't really think that's the route I'd like to go. Offensive line, I don't hate. Maybe this team could go with like another linebacker because I don't think Patrick Queen was very good this year. I thought Bryce Betcher was really, really good this week. I'm going to go Torian York. I still believe in Torian York as a player. I know he's undersized, but the guy is smart. He's got decent range. I'll take him at 99 to Pittsburgh. And then to round it all out, I want to go get probably another pass rusher here in Jacksonville. I like the room, but I think they can always add more bodies. I'll take Ndame Tucker, a heavy-handed one-on-one guy. I think he's got good inside counters. I like what he brings to the table. Might need to develop more of a power profile, but I think there's some really fun things in his game. But that's going to do it for me in this one, guys. A lot of fun stuff that we were able to go through. A lot of new names in the mock drafts. Lee Hunter at 19. He hasn't gone in the first round before. Mesidor I've not taken in the first before. We got to shout out Ahinachor and like Blake Miller and some big risers in like Sam Roush and Blake Miller. Like I said, Derek Moore. I really like this way this turned out, but I'd love to hear from you guys down in the comment section below. What did you like? What did you hate? Leave a like, subscribe if you are new. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.